Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Early Edge, brought to you by BetMGM, the sports book born in Vegas. We got a great show for you today, but let's take a look at the recap screen before we get started. Too many X's. We go 2 and 4. Shout out to Martin Green, 2 for 2. You absolutely love to see that, especially with a plus money play in there, but 2 for 4 is not going to get it done. The good news is the day before we were 5 and 2, and the day before that we were 12 and 2. So we can take some losing days along the way, but it's not what we prefer. A big hello to Paul Swaney and Steve and David Tock and KC3, Tyler, Jason Pogwist, Brad Betts Footy is in here, Mark Hood, Ian Lights Out. Thanks for being in here. Rick Fun Cannon too. Hit the like button and let's bring in the stars of the show. We got the maestro, Larry Hartstein, who I understand might be going down to Florida soon. I'm very jealous because it's like 1 degree up here in DC. We got Mikey B. We got Buckets. Buckets, I was going to lead with you with something, but I got to point something out. Does anybody in the chat notice something different about Mr. Mike Barner? Mikey B, you look practically naked right now. What's going on? What's different? I can't tell.
I know this feels very foreign to me. You gave me the recommendations for these cool head earpieces here that you can't see. You know, just trying to step it up a little bit. I mean, it's usually better if you can cover up some of this with the big headphones, but, you know, maybe a little more professional.
Oh, you are always so self-deprecating. Buckets, sorry for using the big term there. How you doing today?
What was it? Oh, deprecating. Yeah, no, I'm doing well. See, I actually want to call someone out. I don't remember the name in their chat. I'm not a spiteful person, but someone in the chat yesterday, while Guru was masterfully and eloquently giving his take, said, whenever the soccer guys talk, I mute the chat because soccer is boring. Wow. I just want to point out that soccer plays on the Early Edge this week are 5-0 currently. So I don't really care if it's boring. Right now, the Guru is on fire, and you got to listen to the man when he's talking.
5-0 so far on the week. There's just nothing boring about that. Listen, can I just say, if soccer is not your thing, I get it, but we're trying to win money here at the end of the day. And soccer is, in my opinion, it can be pretty exciting. But with all of that said, I mean, we can save the comments, right? Do you actually need to put in the comments that you put it on mute? You could just put it on mute and not put that in the comments. I mean, let's just like be a better person about it. Larry, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, guys. And, you know, that person will not want to be in the Discord next week when Buckets, excuse me, together with Martin Green makes their debut with a live chat in the Expert Chats channel, getting ready for a huge Champions League slate. I believe that will be Tuesday morning in the Discord. The announcement is there, so he will not want any part of that.
Joe Newmanfeld said, sorry I said that, Buckets. Of course it wasn't Joe. I absolutely love that. Taking blame for that. Mark Hood says, trolls gonna troll. And Vincent Calabrese, this is the quote of the day, be better. Absolutely love to hear that. All right, let's actually get to some Buckets Babe. Who is Buckets Babe? This is a new person. Buckets, is that you?
It's not my burner. I swear it's not my burner. People keep saying that, but
well, it says I'd never mute you, Buckets, and that sounds like something you would say. All right, let's get to something Mikey B would say. Let's start with some NBA picks, Mikey.
All right, 2 player props today. The big game, the Thunder and the Cavaliers. We're going to do Jalen Williams over 32.5 points, rebounds, and assists at -122. When these two teams played last week, he had 39 combined points, rebounds, and assists. And they're going to need him to play well again. Isaiah Hartstein is out with a calf injury. He's going to be out for at least a week. The Thunder have played 5 games this season without both Hartenstein and Chet Holmgren. They've gone small in those games. In 4 of those games, Williams had at least 37 combined points, rebounds, and assists. So we just need 33 here. So I love that over. And then talk about an exciting game going from one to a terrible one. The Suns and the Wizards. We're going to do Tyus Jones over 5.5 assists at -112. The Wizards have allowed the 4th most assists per game in the league. Not only does that help Jones, but also working his favor, Bradley Beal is listed as doubtful with an ankle injury. Jones has played 10 games this season without Beal. He had at least 7 assists, not 6, 7 assists in 8 of those 10 games. He is averaging 8.2 assists per game without Beal this season. He's going to have the ball in his hands a lot against his former team. So Tyus Jones over 5.5 assists.
Yeah, I was just looking that up to confirm, just to walk down Narrative Street. He did play for the Wizards for at least 2 to 3 years, I think. This is a good time for him to shine, Mikey.
He played great on the Wizards last season. I think he averaged close to 8 assists a game. They're a fast-paced team. They don't play any defense, so we love that one for Tyus Jones.
David Talk loves De'Ami Brown over 29.5 receiving yards. He may or may not have seen a Sportsline pick that was put out this morning. So you might, if you're not a Sportsline member, I don't know what you're doing. Go to sportsline.com/join, type in the promo code winners. You get 60% off the annual plan. But for this division round, we're going to have a lot of picks. I'm going to be kind of filtering. I've already put 2 picks in. I'll probably have maybe 2 more at least, but so many cappers have even more picks than I have already in the Sportsline app, I was going to say, but also at sportsline.com. All right. Well, we got 2 NBA picks. Buckets, it's your turn. We're trying to take soccer to 7-0 on the week. What you got?
Let's see if we can do it. I am about to talk about soccer, so mute if you need to mute here, guys. But we are going to talk about some very controversial matchups. It's important to remember that my job as a Sportsline professional capper is not to make people like me. It is not to hold your hand and be your best friend, because I'm going to talk bad about a team that people are very passionate about today. Of course, I'm talking about Manchester United. This is a club that is historic, one of the greatest clubs in footballing history, that is kind of falling apart right now. And they are very fortunate because they are playing Southampton, who is by far the worst team in the Premier League. With that being said, I'm still going both teams to score here at -110 because, frankly, this line is too good to ignore. I am fully aware that Southampton have the least goals scored in the Premier League. But frankly, when you're playing Manchester United right now, that doesn't really matter. I think Manchester United win this game. They're probably going to score 3 or 4 goals, as everyone does against Southampton. But Manchester United have also conceded 10 matches in a row across all competitions. I cannot ignore that number, something that has happened 10 times straight. I don't care who they're playing anymore. Southampton's bad. It doesn't matter. They'll get a goal, and we will cash BTTS here. For the second bet, we're going to the Dutch Cup. This is a much trickier one because these are teams that not a lot of people have heard of. We are looking at the KVV Quick Boys taking on Heerenveen, and we're taking a same game parlay of both teams to score and over 2.5 goals, priced at -125. KVV Quick Boys are an amateur side, which means playing football is a part-time job for them. With that being said, cup games are the chance for amateur sides to make more money than they will make for the entirety of the rest of their season. Winning a cup game or even scoring goals in a cup game is a massive deal when you are an amateur side. Heerenveen has the squad to beat Quick Boys 10-0 if they want to, but they're going to rotate their squad. They're going to play backups, and Quick Boys are good enough to get a goal here. I love both teams to score and over 2.5 goals. That, frankly, is a matchup that I think could see 5 or 6 goals. See ya.
My bad. Love to hear it. I was looking at.
Oh no, you muted me while I was talking, didn't you? It's happening.
No. That's funny. Yeah, well, maybe kind of, now that you mentioned it. In a weird way, I might have. I want to give out a Sportsline pick in college basketball. But before I do, Larry, I think it was David Talk. It might have been somebody else in the chat. I'm literally, as Buckets was talking at the end there, I was trying to find the comment. He asked, and this is such a chalky, like, public thing to do, but it like kind of makes sense. It's basically even money. This is a football question. It's basically even money to money line parlay Ohio State on Monday against Notre Dame, the Detroit Lions, and I believe the third leg was the Kansas City Chiefs. Oh, there we go. Thank you, Ben, for pulling that up. So many comments in the chat. Sometimes it's hard for me to find them. Larry, I realize, like, that's not the way to bet, but that does look kind of appetizing. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, definitely like, excuse me, all 3 teams to advance. But I don't necessarily love the spreads in either the Chiefs or the Lions games. I'm probably going to be on both dogs, taking as many points as I can. But yeah, all 3 should advance. I'm not going to play that parlay.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, this is the stuff that if you play enough of these money line parlays, you end up losing in the end. Whether this one hits is a different question. I actually do think it's going to hit, but I hope it doesn't, being a Commanders fan and having a Notre Dame future. Nick Castrucci, how are you, Nick? He says, how would anyone mute Buckets? It's internet gold when he talks. That's very much true. Hopefully the Sportsline pick is internet gold. College basketball, we're going to Bruce Marshall. Eastern Kentucky, -2.5 at -115. Again, Eastern Kentucky, -2.5, -115. That's a Sportsline pick from Bruce Marshall. Before we get to more picks, I got to tell you about this new promo. It's actually very curious to me. It's from BetMGM, obviously. I think we're all going to want to participate in this one. Think you know playoff football? Prove it in BetMGM's free-to-play game. For each round of the big game of the playoffs, you have the opportunity to answer 3 historical playoff football questions. If you answer all 3 correctly, you'll win a share of $1 million in bonus bets. First entry period, 3 questions about wildcard games, $250,000 in bonus bets up for grabs. Second entry period, 3 questions about divisional games. So that's the period we're in right now, $250,000 in bonus bets up for grabs. Third entry period, 3 questions about conference championship games, $500,000 in bonus bets up for grabs. Here's how it works. Access the $1 million playoff football challenge promotion at betmgm.com or the BetMGM app. Answer 3 questions per round during the big game playoffs. If you answer all 3 questions correctly, you'll win a share of bonus bets for that playoff round. Very, very interesting stuff. Creative from BetMGM. Just answer some questions. I don't know how that works. Maybe like people are going to have their phones next to them trying to call. So I don't know if there's a time limit. You're just going to have to get in there and find out. We got to find out what my golf pick is for today. I gave one out yesterday. I'm going to give one out today as well. I've got a prop to give out. Larry, you've got a football and NBA prop to give out. We're going to do it right after this message from our partners.
Stay tuned at halftime of the AFC Divisional Playoff Game for a sneak peek of 1923 Season 2, streaming February 23rd, exclusively on Paramount+.
We're back on the Early Edge, brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. I'll give out a couple picks here. We're going to start with a round 1 matchup. I gave one out yesterday, if memory serves. It was Patrick Fishburne over Andrew Novak at, I believe, -120. Juice a little higher on this one. We're going with J.J. Spawn -130 over Rico Hoey. What's interesting about Rico Hoey is he's getting some attention in this tournament, and it's deserved. He's actually been playing pretty well for the last 4 to 6 months here. And also, I think he rates out pretty well on this course, especially when it comes to some of the scoring metrics and par 5 scoring in particular. So I understand why people like him as kind of like a long shot outright at 90-1. But in terms of the overall game, I love J.J. Spawn here. I was actually on Twitter when I tweeted out my first round leaders. I had some people kind of tweet back at me, and we were talking about J.J. Spawn. I looked at his approach metrics, and they look last week. His approach was unbelievable. He almost gained 9 strokes on approach. He was amazing. But overall, his approach metrics are great. His putter is usually great. That's what I'm dialed into for this particular tournament. So I like J.J. Spawn -130 over Rico Hoey. As far as Hoey, his metrics look pretty good. A little back and forth on the approach metrics. He's really kind of an off the tee guy more than anything. And while that will help him here, I don't think it's a fundamental part of how you succeed at the American Express. So I'm going to go ahead and take the course fit J.J. Spawn over Rico Hoey at -130. The next pick is an NFL prop. I wrote this up on Sportsline about an hour ago. C.J. Stroud over 33.5 pass attempts at -128. This is one of those situations where I know the Texans want to run the ball, and I also know they won't be able to run the ball. I like Joe Mixon unders. I haven't put them in as an official play. I consider Joe Mixon's under longest rush of, I believe, 13.5. The reason I didn't do it is because his rushing attempts prop is 15.5. And if he's going to get that many carries, he could potentially spring one. But this Kansas City Chiefs run defense is no joke. Mixon's not going to be able to go anywhere. What does that mean? In a likely neutral or trailing game script, we're going to see C.J. Stroud pass. I'm not on completions because I don't think C.J. Stroud's going to be very efficient. So in a trailing game script, I think he's going to have to chuck it around to Nico Collins and a bunch of wide receiver threes. So give me the pass attempts over on C.J. Stroud, 33.5. Larry, go ahead.
I got to jump in because I really like that play a lot. You know, Bobby Slowick took so much heat for the first half of the season with run, third and long pass, but he has changed over the last several weeks. Not that it's yielded great results, but they have come out passing on first down in neutral game scripts, the 3rd highest rate in the NFL. And yes, this is likely going to be a negative game script. And we know how tough it is to run against Chris Jones and that Kansas City front. So I really like this play for Saturday.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I will say that it's 34.5 in some places, and I still like it at 34.5. It won't go up to 35.5, but I think at 34.5, actually it could go up to 35.5, but I think at 34.5, it's absolutely still playable. All right, Larry, speaking of football, I don't know where you want to lead because you got NBA, you got NFL, you've got an under and an over. So go ahead.
Let's start tonight, and that is out in Portland, where DeAndre Ayton, kind of a forgotten man, but he should get 30-plus minutes tonight. Donovan Clingan, the number 1 pick, hurt his knee the other night. He's out. Robert Williams is doubtful with an illness. So this is basically DeAndre Ayton 30-plus minutes play. It's as simple as that. He's played the Clippers twice this season. 15 and 16 points when he got 30 plus minutes. Now, lately, he hasn't been playing as much because Klingen's been playing a lot, and he's only averaged 9 points this month. But tonight is a night where I think they need him to play huge minutes, and that sheer volume is hopefully going to get us over the total, assuming the Clippers don't hold them to like 60 points, which is what they did last night in an incredible win for the Clippers. So that's the play for tonight. And then for Saturday, David Montgomery, yeah, he's an inspiring story. He's back, but that knee injury was not a minor injury, and I don't think they're going to give him his usual workload. He even said, this is Jahmyr Gibbs' backfield. Jahmyr Gibbs is so explosive. He erupted in those 3 games down the stretch that it would be silly for the Lions not to give Jahmyr Gibbs the bigger part of this workload. So, yeah, maybe David Montgomery had some key runs. Maybe he gets a touchdown or 2. I don't think this game is going to be 31-10. If it was 31-10, I wouldn't be playing this because that's when David Montgomery would be in there killing the clock. But I think it's going to be fairly competitive with the Commanders always somewhat within striking distance, and I don't think they're going to overwork David Montgomery. I'm going under 65.5.
I keep doing that. That keeps that makes sense for sure. Kylie Reynolds says James Madison Iona money line parlay. I'm wearing the James Madison purple buckets. Do you know why I'm wearing it? Because when I put that GIF out yesterday, where like you could see my face of confusion, a lot of people say, when I did the caption contest, a lot of people referred back to the James Madison University comment that you made. And by the way, James Madison just picked up Matt Sluka. If you remember Matt Sluka, he's the one that bailed on UNLV over the NIL dispute and basically, took the year off. So he's JMU's finest right now. Buckets, your response to that caption contest, did you catch it? And any love for the JMU parlay?
I caught it this morning, so I'm a bit late to the caption contest. I was a big fan, though. And as always, as I've always been, I'm a fan of James Madison University. So I got to love the parlay.
Yeah, nice. I like you, kind of making a comeback on the JMU haters that you had. So absolutely love that. Steve Folkert says UNLV. Did I not say UNLV? I might have said a different team, but yeah, UNLV, Matthew Sluka. All right, Buckets, was there anything in the chat soccer-wise that you needed to address?
One thing I just want to say is I'm a big fan of when we give out information and people take the information to make their own plays. I gave out both teams to score for Man United and said I think Man United probably win this like 3-1, 4-1. Steve Folkerts in the chat said just took Man United money line plus both teams to score at plus 187 as well. So just something you might want to consider if you're looking to get rid of all the juice in this one.
Wow, we got a comment from AGNZLS8. Man, if you had a more catchy name, it would be so much easier to read your comments. He says, Ayton should be playing in the G League of Myanmar? I thought that was Miramar, like South Florida. Interesting. Speaking of Ayton, Mikey B, was there anything in the chat? I don't know if you're looking at the chat right now. Anything NBA-wise that you needed to address?
No, I didn't see anything. Everybody's all in on these soccer picks. There's nobody muting. Everybody loves the soccer. Buckets might have to start giving out like 6 or 7 picks, and then I'll do like one. I'll be on for 30 seconds, and that'll be it.
Scott Y says, did I miss the golf picks? Well, I gave out JJ Spawn over Rico Hoey. I gave out an Eric Cole T40, which you can get, I think, still at minus 110. I gave it out at minus 125. I think you can get it at minus 110 at certain places. That was like 2 days ago. And yesterday I gave out Patrick Fishburne over Andrew Novak at, I believe, minus 120. I also tweeted out some first-round leaders, and I have a few outrights that I've mentioned on the show. I also put it in the Sportsline Discord. So in a sense, you can never miss the golf picks because they're always kind of existing somewhere, whether it's Sportsline Discord or on this show or in the Sportsline articles that I will author after football season. Hero says, Larry, what do you think of Pat Mahomes over 4.5 rush attempts? Interesting.
Yeah, I lean over. I think RJ is on that play. You also have the possibility of kneel downs. And speaking of the Discord that you mentioned, there's a golf channel. There's also a new tennis channel. And our tennis expert swept the board, woke up this morning and it was check, check, check. And he recaps it in there. That's Jose Honorado. Check out the tennis channel in the Discord.
There's so much going on in the Discord, and it's almost impossible to know everything that's going on because of all the separate channels. But if you're living in there, here and there, you're going to catch so many good nuggets across so many good sports. All right, I think we can probably, I see Gipper's picks in here. I know he has some UFC picks. So many picks and comments in here. Gipper's picks, since everyone says parlays are great, laughing emoji. UFC parlay, Dawson, start second round, Marab over 3.5 rounds. Oh, are we doing the Makachev over 3.5 rounds at minus 101? Buckets, you're a UFC guy, kind of. Do you know anything about this?
I am a UFC guy only if it means I get to show down Danny. So I researched Danny's picks extensively so I can fight him on them. I have not looked at this at all because I haven't heard Danny's take yet.
All right. Fair enough. David says Portland over the Clippers tonight. Yeah, there we go, David. All right, let's take a look at the recap screen before we get out of here. A lot of picks today. I've got CJ Stroud on Saturday over 33.5 pass attempts. And I've got a round one matchup today. JJ Spawn minus 130 over Rico Hoey. We'll go to Larry next. He's got David Montgomery. Again, that's on Saturday night. Under 65.5 rushing and receiving yards, minus 110. And DeAndre Ayton over 12.5 points, minus 125 buckets. Manchester United versus Southampton, both teams to score, minus 105. And I think this is KVV Quick Boys versus Heerenveen. Both teams to score plus over 2.5 goals at minus 125. Mikey B. Jalen Williams over 32.5 points, rebounds, and assists at minus 122. And Tyus Jones, narrative street against his old team, over 5.5 assists at minus 112. Sportsline pick, Eastern Kentucky, minus 2.5 at minus 115. Jeff Stewart says, great show, everybody. Keep it positive. Let's have a day. Well, he stole the words right out of my mouth. On behalf of Ben on the 1s and 2s and 3s and 4s, the Maestro, Mikey B, Buckets, all of you in the chat. Also, thanks for hitting the like button and being a part of this experience every single morning. We'll see you very soon. Have a great show, everyone. Keep it positive. Let's have a day. This is The Early Edge. We rest our case.